Right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renison Jeffrey, and this is the Workers' Rights Platform. We are broadcasting live from the Workers' Rights Network. Now, today, ladies and gentlemen, we would have made a very important announcement. One that could change the very landscape of Trinidad and Tobago, as would have been seen, a matter of fact. We would have seen everybody acquiescing to a particular direction. And we are here to say to you, the people of Trinidad and Tobago, hope is not lost. Because many of you would have reached out to us here constantly and saying, hey, oh, your belly gone. And I am here today to say to you, Trinidad and Tobago, that is not the case. We are here as stalwarts to stand in the gap for you, the members of the public. Now, you would have seen what we would have seen here. Yes, we have a guest today, Kezel Jackson. Kezel Jackson have spoken no coalition for now. But is this a strategic power move or a missed opportunity? And that is what we are going to talk about here today. But before we introduce Kezel Jackson to the program, Sheldon can't hear his silence. Sheldon, the floor is all yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. First of all, my loving family in the Point 14 area. You know I love you. The bottom of my heart, and I always try to represent you and serve you to the best of my ability. You know that. You know Candace strive for you. So today we, Renison and myself, Renison Jeffrey, and myself, Sheldon Khan, we would have made the announcement that we'll be contesting this 2025 general election under the APP, the All People's Party banner. And I know you may be questioning yourself as to that decision. That decision was born out of requests by yourself because recently events would have taken place in the political realm, and you would have reached out to Renison and myself as representatives in the area when you wasn't seeing anybody else, even your own representative. I have had calls at hours of the night. I remember some months ago, some people called me in the dress about 11 o'clock in the night because Wasa had passed during the day and they had gotten information that the now Minister of Security was then the Minister of Public Utilities was going to take out a standpipe, and they were in there.
You can,
they were in their lost element because the elected, the person who won the both parties that are in control, they would have called Mr. Kennedy Richards, they would have called Mr. Chanka Tiloksing, and none would have answered. So they would have reached out to me, Khan, boy, you feel you could come down here and see what you could do. And my wife said, where you going this hour? I say, hey, let me go and try.
Well, people, as I say, we come in here tonight. We have Kezel Jackson here. And can all our fire here, don't come wrong me that smart man thing here tonight. I ain't taking that from you. You understand that low monotone voice? I ain't taking that from you tonight. Because at the end of the day, it's a war we fighting here. You understand what I'm saying? I know you're trying to song nice and thing, but you is the same man. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the same man that ball up on the step just now there in my ears, hot in me. You understand? But without further ado, Kezel Jackson. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening.
Good afternoon, my dear.
Good evening, both of you. Good evening to you, the prospective Member of Parliament for Labray, Renison Jeffrey. Good evening to you. The prospective Member of Parliament for Point Fortin, Sheldon Khan. And good evening to all your viewers and listeners alike, and the people of Point Fortin, Labray, and the whole of Trinidad, because your viewership does not only extend to a geographical area, but that and beyond. Good evening to all the supporters that have been fighting for equity and fairness and requesting that somebody take up the David fight.
Well, you put it on us, Kezel. You lay it on like butter. But at the end of the day, we were having this conversation today. And we are here to answer the question, Kezel.
Yes.
Why you say no to coalition? Because I know why, at the end of the day. I know why I picking up this fight down here, because the representative for down on this area, Randall Mitchell, and the present one for the Labray area, which is Clyde Elder, people say they do not know him. And they ask us at the end of the day to take a stand, a daisy stand we taking. And what we are asking the members of the public, to you, to follow us here along. But at the same time, Kezel, I want to know why you would have taken this stand as to say no coalition. Why? Tell me.
Yes. I wouldn't tell you because you know, but I would tell listeners and viewers. Yeah. What is happening presently in Trinidad and Tobago is that every third party feel as though they are too weak to fight the political Goliaths. They are not in agreement with the leadership of the People's National Movement or the leadership of the United National Congress, but everybody wants to go into a vehicle that is moving. Rather than to say to a nation, we are willing to fight for you regardless, and we can build that machinery from the ground up. Now, the PNM and the UNC, they are one coin, but two different sides. Now, if we were to say that Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her regime is any better, it would be a blatant lie. If I believe in my soul that Kamla Prasad Bisesa and her regime is the better fit for Trinidad and Tobago, by all means, that coalition would have been had. But I will tell your viewers something. It is a difficult task to fight alone. When I say alone, I mean without a political vehicle like the People's National Movement, which is well-fueled, and the United National Congress. Don't think that it is just a stand of lip service, but it's also a stand to tell the nation that there is a party that is willing to pick up the fight and say, yes, we can take down the political Goliaths of the PNM and the UNC. Now, what we are seeing happening, they are already imploding, the both parties. We have seen resignation after resignation after resignation in the United National Congress. And what we are seeing in the PNM is a replacement of democracy with dictatorship. Who represents the voice of the voiceless? Who represents you, the people? Because you and me, you and we are one. We are fighting for the same cause. We are fighting for the same Trinidad and Tobago. We are fighting for legacy, and we are also fighting because of love.
So there you have it, people. I don't know if I don't know if I was the younger lion on the scene, and Kezel was outside there before me. Of course, you learn my little thing, a small thing. But to you, the people at Trinidad and Tobago, this is the hope that I'm sure you have been asking for. At the end of the day, you have been wanting, and now is the time. Kezel, somebody on the thing say, on the chat would have said that you start, she running campaign but no website. So I mean, come on.
We had two websites. Let me stand to correct that. We had two websites that has been sabotaged by whom we do not know. But again, the fight is on Don't feel that the fight is just in the forefront. They are fighting us at every level that they can, but we must endure. And for them to want to fight us, that means that they have seen us as a formidable enemy.
Sheldon,
You know, Ransom, just now I hear you call out two gentlemen, but I don't know who is the representative in my area, or for my area, because the only person that's be highlighting things in my area is me.
Mm.
I stand alone for the people in Point Fortin. Let me repeat that. I shall and can boast that I stand alone in the representation of people in my area. You know that? Because up to now, how much times you and I asked Mr. Richards to meet with him? How much times you went to his office? Let me tell you how good I know Mr. Richards' office. Is a big green building next to Republic Bank. When you enter the door, there's a secretary or a person that takes down your name to the left-hand side. Right? When you go there, you put down your name, he gives you an appointment. Is either that pen he writing with having visible ink, or whoever he passing the message to doesn't get there. But that is the case. And this is the kind of representation that in speaking with people, just this afternoon I had a conversation with a young man, and he was telling me why he wanted to enter politics. And he was telling me, he said, Mr. Khan, I am 32 years of age, and the constituency in which I live in, I do not see my representative. I have not seen my representative. The level of unemployment, the level of neglect, the level of neglect leaves a certain level of hopelessness in the average day-to-day lives of the citizens in Trinidad and Tobago. Just this morning, Renison and yesterday morning, Renison and myself had to basically beg the new Prime Minister to look into a situation where we have an industrial estate in Labrie, built for the people of Labrie, and then they were locked out. When it is that you have to be begging your representative to accede to your daily life or daily for survival, what does that tell you? What does that transmit to you as to the level of neglect? When you have to be begging for water, when you have to be begging to get your children into school. I remember about 2 years ago, a woman reached out to us, and she said that she don't get to see her son because he leaves after she leaves work, and then he comes home after she leaves. So she leaves 6 o'clock in the morning, and she works 6 to 6. But her son, because of her inadequate school transport services, her son was reaching home 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the night. You remember that, Renaissance?
Mm-hmm.
And when we went down there, people telling you that the minister trying. I asked somebody, I say, so if it was your son, if you have a school population of 600 children, but you only provide a school transport for 60 children, in a remote area where it only have about 4 taxis, right? On a daily basis, you had children walking home. I went to an area and people, houses were being flooded out with sewage. And when I asked them, they told me this was happening for years. And the mayor, living a few houses away, the mayor before that mayor, living the next few houses away, councillors living right there, and nobody cares because their house not flooding. They getting paid irregardless. And this is the kind, until people are telling me that if you want authenticity, if you have decided that the PNM is not the answer and the UNC is not the, I went to Siparia because a lady and her daughter died in a fire. And the fire service said, or the residents said, that the reason why the people died in the fire is because the fire truck reached late. And when we went down there, there was no fire truck. You remember that? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember. You see, it's the same thing that we are saying here, people of Trinidad and Tobago. I mean, Kezel, feel free to interject, because at the end of the day, we come here, we was highlighting a lot of issues. What Khan saying in a nutshell is that we are not getting the representation that we ought to get, and we are paying a handful. Because just imagine that the salary of the Prime Minister is $87,000 a month, and we're not getting representation. And the area Khan is speaking about is Siparia, the home of the opposition. So we had to tie down the story as to what we are saying, a matter of fact. And if we get in the two same party, PNM, UNC, same thing. What the people is asking for is something outside of the frame. And the reason why I, at the end of the day, would have joined or rushed to be a part of this organization that you are head of, a matter of fact, is because it gives people a choice outside of that bracket. You understand what I say? I try to coin it properly. So Kezel, I know time and time again you would have been explaining why you're different from the society, from the conventional parties and them. You understand? And being somebody on social media, we does always, we always talk, we always hear, sometimes they hear it, sometimes the way you put it across, some people say you're mad, some people say you get funding from the PNM, some of them they don't say that the UNC beat the PNMC team already. So we need to start to clear up some of these issues, and this controversial thing with raw talk here that they said how you could accept raw talk just so it create a still. So to frame the context and how we dealing with it here tonight. And there's a person I not say anything. So the floor is yours. Let me hear from your perspective. I see you coming off light here, or you playing foreman and or you ball up in match just now there. You and Khan, you and Khan fix me properly just now there. But anyway, the floor is yours.
What I was saying is that it's easier to remain politics. I'll repeat that again. It is easier to remain out of politics. I left a comfortable life. I left a life of traveling throughout the world and getting paid for that, being featured in American film market, European film market, Amazon Prime, other international platforms, with a travel show that allowed me to just keep on going. I left a life as a humanitarian in international spaces. I left a life as a business executive without controversy, without putting yourself in the forefront and the spotlight to be ridiculed, for people to make assertions, assumptions, without really getting to know who you are. But to live that life is to truly live. I'll repeat that again. To live that life is when I truly started to live. And when I say live, is live for purpose. Because I've traveled too far and wide to come back to my nation to say to them, Trinidad and Tobago still remains the most beautiful place I have ever seen without geological bias. Then why aren't our leaders doing things differently? Can you imagine that Trinidad and Tobago was leading CARICOM at one time? Now, business persons cannot have access to US currency. Forex is almost as impossible as seeing your members of parliament. Imagine that. Imagine a country like those Banana Republic, you can walk anywhere because the US dollar is pegged against the EC. Imagine countries like Bahamas, where the Bahamian dollar is equivalent to a US dollar. Imagine that. Imagine they do not possess the resources that we have. We are rich in resources in Trinidad and Tobago. All they have is tourism. But yet still with the tourism, they have toured, they have explored, and they have expanded their niche market into their main market. But yet still we struggle and we it's like we are to the back of the class constantly after two oil booms, after having the largest deposit of asphalt in the world. We are still back four roads.
Jeffrey, I
Just,
serious
just,
woman.
just now, just now, Kezel, we have a caller here online. Yeah, guy, true, we here live. I know you're serious. Kezel online, you can talk to Kezel. We are on a live program here
You're
tonight.
live, Jeffrey. You're live like on your platform?
Live.
Good night. My name is Gayatri Lindsay, as the nation is well aware. And I stand in solidarity with Ms. Jackson because she's standing against the PNM and the UNC who have been riding dead horses for the longest while, and we need change.
Thank you, Gayatri.
This is the reason why I'm trying my utmost best to help bring change to our country.
Thank you. Thank you, my female warrior.
Well, Gayatri, I will get in contact with you. I know you might be calling me, and I know that you're serious. You would have been telling me since the video went out.
You know that I am a serious person. You know that I take people's welfare to heart, and I like helping people. I help people for free without a political party.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're telling me then, you're seeing Ms. Kezel Jackson as a symbol of that change?
I think that is not only me would be seeing Ms. Jackson as that symbol, Jeffrey. I think that everybody else would be seen as someone that would bring change, positive change to our nation, because we've been going down and down. How much more down can we go?
So true. So true.
Well, thank you.
When you're ready,
Go ahead.
When you're ready, Renison, you feel free to contact me.
Okay then. Okay,
well, you guys have a wonderful night.
Same to you, my lady. Same to you. So, what is really happening is that, listen, this call is a call now for us to stand up together to save country. I have been using my platform to educate.
Ms. Jackson, let me interrupt you a little bit. We have a call from somebody who does always be here with us on the panel. Miss Candace Edwards, go ahead.
Good evening.
Pleasant good night, sir.
Yes, good night, ma'am.
I just want to say, I enjoy the program, and it's a very good program, and I wish you guys all the best.
That is all you have to say.
You catch me off guard, though.
That is all you have to say, Candace.
Have a pleasant night, you all.
All right, Miss Candace, good night. I thought you was watching the broadcast live, so thanks again.
No, I would have gotten an important phone call, so I decided to call you to inform you, but nonetheless, have a pleasant night, guys.
Okay then.
Tomorrow, please go on.
Okay. Right. So, Ms. Jackson, I'll be sorry about that, but you know the people still calling in and you know they're pledging the support. And why is on that day somebody wishes to have your number, as you can see here. Good night. I would like to get in contact with Mr. Khan, please. I am from Point Fortin and I am offering my assistance.
Oh,
So I will pass that number to you.
yes.
You see it there, they say they would like to reach out. So yes, Miss whoever is from Point Fortin, I will pass the message. Right?
And for other persons, who would like to have my number is 785. That's 785 3882. Let me repeat. It's 785 3882. And I would appreciate any assistance in this fight to move our community forward. Thank you very much.
Okay then. So people just remember this is a live call-in program as well. The number is there on the screen, 333-2176. So you could call in the show live and you know you could be a part of the program too as well. So Ms. Kezel, I hope you don't mind the little interruption, but there are people that you know will call in from time to time.
Yeah, it's Kezel's first time on a workers' right platform, and people will be excited, especially females, female power. The world is heading that way, female power. Today we met several female who were ecstatic in the presence of Kezel. So take it away, my dear.
I feel Kezel here innocent. Kezel, you could continue.
Bluetooth connected.
No, your mic is off. Your mic off.
My mic?
No. Kezel.
Are you hearing me now?
Yes, we're hearing you now.
All right. As it relates to where we are going, we are on the brink of the worst economic recession that Trinidad and Tobago would have ever experienced in our history. We have had several collapses. We have seen geopolitically where international forces are working against us on the basis of the geopolitical decisions of our present government to make alignment with all communist regime. We would know that in 1956, 1955, the People's National Movement was a part of the Federal Communist and Socialist Society. They are no stranger to communism. The government at present, and if a general layman want to understand, I will break it down. Our present system by which we operate is a system of democracy, meaning to say government for, by, and of the people. The present government has made alignment with countries like Cuba, countries like China, and countries like Venezuela. What they all have in common, they are all communist regimes. Now, in terms of our alignment, yes, we may do business with everyone as a democratic nation, but they went to bed, they gave their hands in marriage, so much so that Port-au-Spain has been twinned a sister city of Shanghai, that is China. In terms of the benefit, if you look at Lebre benefit is none. I'll repeat that again. Lebre benefit is none to the people. That is Lake Asphalt. Lake Asphalt right now, Alibaba has the right to sell bitumen. So Lake Asphalt is not, the people of Lebre is not benefiting from the sale of bitumen because Alibaba has that sole entitlement. The people of Lebre, they are not benefiting because China now is in control of that pitch lake. Pitch is being sent back to Beijing, and Beijing is gaining its wealth off of the natural resource of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. If we pay attention to Cuba, the government stand up and they said they will stand for the sovereignty and they will stand up with Cuban medics. Allow me to explain this. It's a form of exploitation.
Yeah.
These doctors and medics that we have here, the government, they do not pay them. They They pay their government, and their government continues to exploit, their communist government continue to exploit the medics who are here. They wrote to me explaining to me that they are being paid little to nothing to work on the island of Trinidad and Tobago, and our government is part of a dictatorship and exploitation of the people of Cuba. Then I extend it as well to Venezuela. There was so much that was done. The government continued to lie. I include the former prime minister and our now dictatorship prime minister, that is Stuart Young. They lied to the US intelligence when they said that the vice president Delcy was not here. Then they said that oil wasn't sent to Venezuela, fuel wasn't sent to Venezuela, but rather Aruba. Then it was sent, the Aruba government came out and said, no, we are no part of this. It was sent to us, but not directed to our nation, but through us as a port of shipment to go right back to Venezuela. They made a deal, and the people said, Kezel, that is insanity. What you're saying is crazy. The dragon deal will work for us. It will work for us. And I told them that dragon will remain a mythical creature in the oceans. Because how can the government of Trinidad and Tobago, like logically, make such deal, such $1 billion deal with a country that is heavily sanctioned? Why would our prime minister go out there and abuse the former, at that time he was the former president of America, president now, Mr. Donald Trump. Mr. Keith Christopher Rowley went out on his platform and diminished the man to almost nothing, not thinking that there's a possibility that he can now become the next prime minister, the next president, which he is. What you think will happen next? Now we are seeing where government, their visas are being challenged by the United States of America. We are seeing now a population of Trinidad and Tobago. We now have to pay the British, imagine that, for visas to travel between Trinidad and the UK. When we, the former children of slaves, would have worked and toiled and slaved, our ancestors would have slaved on plantation to build the British. Now we are paying them for visas for a country in which we have a legal entitlement. Imagine that. Imagine our prime minister caught up in bacchanal politics between himself and Kamala, rather than focus in reparation and reparatory justice for Trinidad and Tobago. Imagine that. So this is where we are at. We are at a place where Tobago has no cruise port. Imagine that. I can go to countries like Bahamas and see 6 cruise ships carrying 3,000 per cruise ship. That is 18,000 passengers coming off of a cruise ship, of these several cruise ships daily. And we are not embarking on building a cruise port. Where are we really going? I am exhausted with the leadership of this government. I am exhausted of their narrow-minded thinking. I am exhausted of their selfishness. Imagine Stuart Young have been recused 131 times from Parliament. Do you know what that really means? It means that 131 times deals that could have been made in Parliament would have benefited Stuart Young, his family, or his close friends. So it is a system where the 1% seem as though they were greater than 99%. This evening, I want to return the power back to the people to say to them, the law of mathematics, the law of economics, and the law of statistics will always say that 99% is greater than 1. We are the 99%.
Kezel, Nadira is asking Miss Kezel, what advice you have concerning the Venice entering Trinidad by the thousands?
Well, our borders are poor and porous, and they are not guarding our borders. It is poor and it is porous. When you have all these downtrodden persons coming into our country, that already we have our unemployment rate is ridiculously high. What will happen is that we will have a new sociological a new ethnic phase of crime and deviance. Because if many people are competing for limited resource, what you find will happen is survival of the fittest. Now, our crime rate is just beyond ridiculous. And we are seeing now is more horrendous and heinous crimes being committed against even women, children, and the elderly without love of people. Long time, even among the criminal gangs of society, there was a code to protect their women, protect children, and protect the elderly. Boy, it is an animal kingdom in Trinidad and Tobago. So we ought to protect our borders and to ensure that illegal immigrants cannot enter into our country. We have to push back against illegal immigration coming into Trinidad and Tobago. But when our government has made friends and deep alliances with the gobierno de Maduro, mucho problema en Trinidad y Tobago similar de gobierno de Maduro. To all Spanish nationals that is listening to this program, the government, the present leadership of the government of Trinidad and Tobago is similar to the government of Maduro. I say to them, run.
Right. So, Kezel, we have somebody on the line here. Miss, good afternoon to you, ma'am.
Yes, good night, gentlemen, and good night to the lady, Miss Kezel Jackson.
Yes,
Good
that is
afternoon.
the political leader of the APP.
All People's Party.
Yes. And so far, she's the only one out of all these politicians in the opposition speaking up on, big issues like what she just spoke on. I would mention, let's say how she spoke about the Cuban doctors, the government decision, and now she talking about the porous borders and other things that she mentioned. I want to touch on the issue with the porous borders, that some things that, we Trinidadians, the citizens, don't know about. I want the citizens to know, and I'm saying this again, I said it on other platforms, that the government of Trinidad and Tobago had signed an agreement so that Venezuelan boatmen and Trinidad and Tobago boatmen, I wouldn't say fishermen, but people who have boats and they want to do a trade backward, forward, on the southern side of the border, the western side of our border, that is in Chagaramas down to Venezuela.
I think there's a boat like that in Cedros as well, where they ferry people back and forth with groceries and that kind of thing.
So they sign Paula Gopi schoon, right, in Venezuela. Now this is not thing what people telling me. This is what I saw on the state TV whenever they have, business with countries or so, they would have everything on state TV, and I am fluent in Spanish. So people can ask me, well, how I know that and all of that.
Right.
I know everything about that gas deal and all of that. So she signed, right, documents for it to have trade in 4 states from Venezuela,
Right.
4 states. So this is why it have this amount of Venezuelan boatmen coming here and buying, selling, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But the thing is, our boatmen cannot go there because of the dangers in the water.
Okay. All right.
Right? I hear anybody want to ask a question? I don't know.
That same minister of trade there, she was reported to be
I'm not hearing clearly.
You're not hearing just now. You're not hearing clearly? Yeah. So that same minister of trade, because I remember she ordered something and they couldn't find it. They paid money. That same minister of trade, remember, she paid some large amount of money, and the supplier need to be a fictitious supplier. You remember that?
Well, I'm not hearing any person clearly on the line, and I'll just continue a bit more.
Right.
And this is a big issue here. These boatmen sign documents to where they could come in to do the trade, and they do other things by bringing the Venezuelans, charging them like 200 US, sometimes less. They don't charge for children. They pay blights to the Guardian Nationals. And with our Coast Guard, right, as everybody know, it don't have enough vessels, so it is more free for them to come in. So people mustn't say only that the borders open. The government is to blame. And then when these
Because
Venezuelans come here, it have who love them, it have who build apartment buildings for them, it
Yes,
have who have
poor people,
businesses and
poor
they
people.
have them in the businesses working,
whole
they're
apartment,
renting
whole
them,
apartment buildings,
etc.,
people,
etc.
whole apartment buildings, people build
So
for them.
it's not only the government to blame, and I don't want people to feel like taking up for the government. I want you all to know it's not only the government to blame for the influx of these Venezuelans.
Okay.
Off air and are listening.
All right. Okay. Kezel, you want to input there?
What the scholar said, she is quite right. Listen,
Right.
she hit the nail on the head, and we have to take a collective responsibility because human trafficking is a serious, serious issue in Trinidad and Tobago. A lot of these women are also being exploited by now, let's go beyond the government, by several businessmen, big businessmen are exploited several of these young Venezuelan girls as part of the sex trade. That must also be addressed. I have been going, listen, I go in all kind of spaces. I have been visiting several spaces where women are crying out to me, asking that I do something about it, where women are being held hostage because their passports are held by these big businessmen who are also political financiers that I am also going after.
Kezel, as a woman,
Mhm.
let me ask you a personal question here, because you say that you've been in contact with women whose passports
Mhm.
were held against their will. As a woman
Mhm.
with a strong personal side, how does that make you feel?
Well, I went beyond feeling because I don't want to just feel, I want to do. So, those persons that reached out to me, justice was had. Trust and believe me, justice was had. And many persons, because of fear, because of our criminal society, they fear to act because in acting, it's like they sacrifice their life, they sacrifice their security to do what most will not do. As I tell people, I am already the walking dead. We are much alive as we are dead if if we see something and we do nothing.
Mhm. Mhm. I think Raw when I spoke to Raw, that's Raw talk.
Mm-hmm.
When I spoke to her this afternoon, she spoke the same sentiment. She
Yeah.
spoke the need that there's a level of. By the way, Raw is from Cookie Village, San
Yes, it
Fernando.
is. Yes,
She'll
it
be
is.
representing our party, the All People's Party. For persons who don't know,
Mm-hmm.
Raw will be representing our party, the All People's Party, for the district of San Fernando East. She's
Mm-hmm.
from Coquier, and she would have explained, she would she would have explained that the reason that she would have got into the politics, the reason that she would have got into social media is because of that level of hopelessness that
Mm-hmm.
is pervasive right now. That she just needed
Mm-hmm.
to do something, to be a part of the fight. She realized she could no longer sit by while
Mm-hmm.
everything else around her was falling down. So is that the reason that you yourself decided to come out with the All People's Party, Ms. Jackson?
Indeed. Indeed, Mr. Khan, indeed.
Now, there's another question that somebody would have said in the comments, a matter of fact. I mean, the same Venice, these girls and them long time used to come across as girls, students and work at nightclubs and these kind of things. And the next part of the question is what shocked me.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these girls and them that came across that to work and these kind of things. Yeah, some of them saying that the passport was withheld from them.
Mhm.
And that is a serious crime. And you are saying that, from the statement that they would have made just now, that some of the times ministers are involved.
Yeah. There is a, as Kezel is want me to say these days, it's alleged. It's alleged that a certain
That
member
public
of
officials are also involved in this.
yes, it's alleged that a certain
Yes.
member of parliament is involved heavily. I think, another member of parliament blurted it out pure when he said, don't worry, he go bring girls for all here. You remember when a parliamentarian made that speech? I said the younger parliamentarian made that statement in parliament. Don't worry, he go bring girls for all here. But putting all the joke and the fun and the lighter things aside, the people that are making these statements is as if they don't understand what their role.
Hello.
Yes, good night, sir. Good night. We live on the Workers' Rights 868 program, brother man. I don't know if you're calling to talk to me personally, but where is your comment?
No, well, if we live on the Workers' Rights, what's going on? What's going on, brother?
Urban Felix!
Congratulations, man.
Urban Felix! The number one
What's going on?
disruptor in point 410! Hailing from one road!
Yeah, well, we here having a discussion here with, Kezel Jackson is here. Glad to see, glad to hear from you. So
Hey, Irvin is like, Irvin, me and Irvin is
What's
two
it?
brothers from the same mother. You can't get between me and Irvin.
Man. Come on, man.
You cannot
Nah,
get,
we can't
don't
get
try to
between
get
that.
between me and Irvin. Of course, Miss Jackson, you know Irvin,
Yes,
the
sir.
last giveaway we had in Point 14, he would have come a little late, so he didn't beat you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So Irvin, tell me something.
you understand?
yes.
Yeah, man. I must call to say, to tell Edison too. All your congratulations with the move. When I bounce up Miss Kezel, I don't know if she there. Let she know I say
She there, she right now, she listening to you.
responsible for. Well, right. So tell she I say thank you very
No,
much.
don't tell.
No, come down, Irvin, man. We don't. Irvin, you know you're a professional
She here?
orator.
She
Yeah,
She is
Well,
here.
Well, Miss Kezel, I didn't realize this that what I'm saying. I did Miss Kezel, I must say thank you very much for doing the responsible thing and picking two vibrant young fellas. You know, and I know, and I think the whole public know. It had to be done.
Yes.
So at the end of the day, election is on. And it is
Indeed.
our responsibility to listen to the relevant conversation and do the responsible thing on that given day.
Yes.
Listen, go forward and go forward strong.
Thank
and
you.
tell her to go forward too.
Thank you, Irvin. Thank you. Thank you, my brother.
Thank you very
All
much.
right,
Irvin.
sis.
Thank
You stay
you for your.
focused and stay strong.
Thank you as always for your
Don't
vote
fight
of
but ain't
confidence.
nothing.
Yes, correct.
And thank you for keep on fighting that fight despite
Yes.
all and every
man.
circumstance. It's too numerous at this point in time to name them
Yes.
all. It's too numerous. But thank you very much.
Yes.
As a
You
brother
are
in the
welcome.
fight, I want to thank you personally for your efforts these very many years.
Yes, man.
From the lady
Yes, man.
who was living below the road level and the water was seeping and leaking on she, from the family who was living in that
Yes.
back road, and you went and take your own board and your own nail and fix she house and change she galvanize and put in glass windows. As I say, it's too numerous. We don't have the time right now, but me personally,
Yeah.
if nobody else say it, Kel can be the first
Yes, man.
to announce it live, so that everybody should know.
Yes, man.
But everybody don't know the kind of work that Irvin is doing in the community. Thank you, brother.
Yes, man. Well, you know, it's not me alone. You know, it's the entire team, and
Yes.
you know, people are chipping. So at the end of the
Yes.
day,
From your
we have to
hamper
thank God for
drive,
everybody who support
from your
along
school
the way.
box drive, from your school bag drive.
Yes.
You understand?
You know how it go.
Right.
So We just have to thank everybody who support along the way. And watch me always stay focused. It's election, so mind me, we listening what going on because we don't already know what going on.
We ain't only listening, we come to fight, you know, Irvin. Irvin,
No, I know this.
the games have begun.
It's not like you're now coming in the game, you know, can. I know this. I know you've been on the ground. Everybody, they have a person can ask where you come from. Nobody can ask where Anderson come from.
Nah.
Right?
Let-
All you've been on the ground.
And before you go, Irvin, I want to tell you, I want to tell you again that congratulations to you too. I see you on the station that making the thing happen. If you wasn't there, that station would have, right now it would have sink.
Yeah.
Because I tell you some little Bosamak, I see them going and migrate to the next station.
Yeah.
And they carry the thing over there.
Yeah.
So they don't care if a man in debt. They leave him in debt. And I when I say that, I say all.
Yeah.
Talk done.
Watch me.
Yeah.
We come to fix the problem. Sister Kezel right there, let Miss Kezel know that the station is there. Make sure you come and do all the interview. Let
course.
the public, let the world, let Trinidad and Tobago know exactly what is going to be done. A little breaks. Come out and talk. Let our people supporting the conversation.
All right. No
Come
problem.
out and talk. Right?
Right.
And it's that. All you have a blessed remainder night.
Yeah, brother.
Yes.
Yes.
Kezel, it's back to you.
Yes. So, boy, listen, it was really encouraging to listen to you introduce us the persons out there that are giving of themselves selflessly to country, and this is what our representatives must look like.
Yes.
I pay attention to history because our past creeps into our future. And when we look at, like, politicians don't have a resume. But I think that if there should be a resume, it must be one of community service before serving as a politician. And this is what you would have seen that yourself as well as Renison and Irvin would have been doing. And you all got my respect and admiration as humanitarians and social activists that fought, because this is a battle, This is an endless battle. We were in the battlefield for a long time, and when a war starts, we know our tribe. Our tribe will come home.
One of the caller, Nadira, is saying the next government focus should be removing oil dependency totally.
Agreed.
Or at least.
Agreed. Nadira, I'll go even further. Agreed. At one time, I put out there an article. That's when I had my own media company, Diversify or Die. But they didn't take it seriously, so we're in the dying stages now. Our orange economy is that economy of our culture. We are rich in culture. Then we have tourism. If we were to embark on tourism, we can sell, first of all, we are unique in this Caribbean. We are one of the few Caribbean islands that have so many races. We are a cosmopolitan country with so many races. We have the African, the Indian, the Syrian, the Lebanese, the Chinese, and then hybrid races like Douglas, Blackanese, or all kind of different names that we're calling now. Spanish and Indian, Spanish and Negro. What do we call them? But we are a Kalalu people. Can we now sell the blend of all these races living together harmoniously? Outside of politics, we live well with each other. Look at carnival time and you see the people in the streets with races, colors, and different faces jumping and having fun under the sun. We need to promote who we are as a people of diversity and inclusivity as well. Can we now utilize that as a source of forex? Of course. There are countries that are solely dependent on tourism. We have tourism. We have the orange economy. We can now sell who we are as a nation. Come and see the beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. Come and see our blend. Come and see how races can unite and work together for a common goal on this beautiful island of Trinidad and Tobago. Come and see us. 2 islands, 1 country, come and see us. But no, we ain't focusing on that. We were focusing on oil and gas. And this oil and gas is tangible. So, I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand that eventually the oil and the gas will run out. So, while the oil and gas, we have money and resources from the oil and gas, utilize it now to develop and truly market our orange economy and tourism. Now, I just heard from an insider that they were given $34 million market Tobago, but
Kezel,
the
Kezel,
government, yes, go on.
Kezel, we have another caller.
Sure, sure.
Yes, good night, caller.
Hello, good night. Hello, good night.
Hello, good night.
Good night, sir.
Eh.
You're live.
We have been able to identify the problem and who is the problem, but we're not looking at really what are some of these real solutions to fix that. So even Patrick Manning time, they started to change the signs on the road to Spanish signs, which means we were going Spanish. It was because of that same connection with Venezuela and oil. But we have moved away from oil. We closed down the refinery and our production is very low. And the country is still running with a very small percentage as it relates to the income from oil and gas. We have diversified away without knowing it, but we haven't found anything to replace to make up the shortfall. And whereas tourism is a good suggestion, and I'm all for that, what percentage of the economy does that contribute? Also in manufacturing, what does it contribute? Now, there are two ways of dealing with things. The reason why Stuart Young was placed as the new prime minister because of the same dealings that the former prime minister had with Venezuela. America is saying to us, if Maduro goes, then everything will be equalized in the entire Caribbean and the world at the same time because they're sitting on the largest oil and gas production in the world. So we need to look at now, the way to solve that is to remove that regime out there, or we find other ways and means of dealing with things differently. So the American president has offered some things to people outside to invest in his country, and they will pay no taxes for a period of 5 years, or tax amnesty for 5 years or 10 years, provided they invest a certain amount of money in the country. And we have to do the same thing. There's another way. We can also adopt the US dollar as the currency of choice, so we won't have a forex problem, so people will now be able to import, but then we won't be doing any manufacturing. So we need to go into downstream industries where we can produce and stop buying from Caribbean islands and allow our farmers to do what they have to do locally and do the things that is important, and we become self-sufficient. So we are speaking about many things. And in doing so, we're not pinpointing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and these are the things that we have to follow to move along the line. So pointing fingers at this one and that one, the question is, how do we fix these things? So to identify X, Y, and Z and say this one and that one, and whichever government gets into office, we have to move in a direction that
So
the people is going to grow. We're going to have a progressive country to move forward.
Sir, are you hearing me, stick up in? Are you speaking collectively or are you speaking specifically? When you say to identify the problems, are you speaking at a general level, or are you speaking to us on this platform?
No, I'm not pointing my finger at you. I'm not pointing my finger at you. Everybody's entitled to their views and their opinions and can comment. I respect that.
What I say to
I respect that all along.
sometimes,
But what I'm saying to you,
sometimes
what
people,
I'm saying to you is that my view is different to yours.
yeah, sometimes respectfully so, but sometimes people listen to respond rather than listen to learn. Allow me to explain why I say so. I am first an educator. I'll always be an educator. So when I pinpoint a problem, I pinpoint solutions. What you're speaking about with demonetization, I have identified that. What you're speaking about on your platform, that we need to have the downstream industries invest in that, I have identified that. What you're speaking about with being self-sufficient, I've also identified the how we can really become self-sufficient.
You know, the question I'm asking is how do we fix these things? We are identifying it and saying X, Y, and Z. How do we go about doing that? And what period of time it will take, and then what income will come in, and over what period of time will the people have to make that adjustment? People have to recognize certain things. When you get into a business, it takes a while for it to be established before you can see a profit.
Fund, or are you listening to learn? So sometimes it's a personality thing, right? We have different personalities, but again, I'm asking you, Are you listening to respond, or are you listening to learn? Because I have explained the how several times, and I'm willing to explain it again, because sometimes there are some persons who may be new to my platform and do not know about the how. So allow me to expound
No,
on one of them. We
no,
have
I am not talking against you, you know. I
no
am
no
talking with you is that you need to see what I'm saying. You are
Okay.
saying the very same thing I'm saying. I am saying, in other words, what are the details involved in getting in effecting that?
Okay.
What
Okay.
you are saying are the identical things I'm saying in your own way.
allow me
How
because
do we effect that?
all right, we
And
start with
if we
one.
cannot identify how do we affect that, how do we effect that, and how do we get it going, and what period of time it is needed for that to happen, then we just talking. Our discussion is open there, but the solutions that come from that now and how do we effect these things now is where the difference lies. So
True.
sometimes you have to pause for a moment. Your ideas are what they are, and we need to look at that and see how they can be expanded. It is one view. How do we add to that? Not oppose it. How do we add to that? How do we make it happen? How do we put in with 2 cents into that and make it work? So we have to look at it from a holistic point of view, where everybody's views are combined in the interest of Trinidad and Tobago and its population in the future. Because we just can't talk about fixing that today and tomorrow. If we close the border tomorrow and the Venezuelan go on, would that fix the problem in Trinidad and Tobago? And the answer is no. The borders is not the problem. The problem is the arrangement we have with Venezuela. And we have to change that until the conditions are suitable that we will benefit from it. But we're not. While they're working for cheap and them kind of thing and they're not paying taxes, our citizens now can't get these jobs anymore. And then people turn to say, we people lazy. But we're not lazy. We're not getting the opportunities.
So we're saying,
And the
caller.
opportunities must be read right.
So we're saying, caller, is a process in which this thing needs to be taken about,
It
from
has
a
to be a
logical
process,
perspective.
but the question with me is, where did the process begin?
Right.
And then when it begins now, do everybody get on board? Let me get a simple thing.
Uh-huh.
We're talking about getting rid of the Privy Council. Oh, get rid of the Privy Council and so. But up to now, nobody has said that the Privy Council are making bad judgments. We want to get rid of the Privy Council for what? Because it aligned with colonialism. We want to come to the CCJ. Why we want to come to the CCJ? For judgment now that is going to be biased based on emotions?
So, caller, we're
We
saying,
now have a court based on law.
so we're saying, caller, there are people that making pronouncement on let me say on a public level, that they're just coming with dreams. Then, in a nutshell, they're just saying things and they're not saying, well, all right, like we now say, let me get rid of the Privy Council, but for what reason? Because I would have heard, I would have heard Keith Christopher Ollie would have said that, and he would not. He didn't give sufficient reason as to say, all right, we should get rid of them. He just said we should make them the last court of appeal. I mean, the Caribbean Court of Justice, the last court of appeal. I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, because our Chief Justice decisions have been overturned by the Privy Council on many occasions. But be that as it may, my issue is this. I went to a doctor. And when I went to the doctor with some pain, the doctor said, I'll not give you anything to ease the pain. I'll give you medication how to deal with what was the root cause. And to also give you a method by which part now it will not reoccur. So you have to go down and do the things that is necessary. So in this idea now, the same line of thought. So she gave me 3 things. You take your medication, you get sick, or you die. Or the other way around now, we deal with what causing it, the root cause of the problem, and we try to prevent it from reoccurring again. So we need to look along the lines of that. It is logic in itself, it's common sense. So when we speak in a particular way, we need to understand you are right. You are identifying all the things. Let us now start a process by which part now it begins here, and in 2 years' time, this is the projection. In 4 years' time, this is where we will be. So people begin to adjust. I tell everybody, while people talk about parents are to blame for the children. What it is the schools. Parents have to go out and work. They spend 8 hours in the schools, and what is going on there is what children learn and is what they live. And when they're under the parents' care, they're very polite, they're very nice, they're very decent, they're very disciplined. But the moment they are out of the sight of the parents, what happens? And the society causes that. And it begins in the schools. So while we're pointing finger at the parents, we're not identifying where the problem really lies. And we're not dealing with that.
I would beg
the education system doesn't cater for everything.
I'll beg
So
to
we need to look at things from all angles. All angles, we need to look at that. So I think I put out too much, I think, on the table to speak about. But let me allow others.
Yeah.
No, we just
Let me
enjoy your
allow-
conversation. You understand? But Kezel says she would have differ on a particular point. So Kezel,
I beg to differ on that point when he said put the blame on the school and not on the parent. Now, this sociology is the first field of study, and the first, and also one which I taught at the University of the West Indies. Now, the first and the primary agent of socialization begins with the family. Now, you made a grave assumption to say that they behave one way with the parents, and that's some. And in terms of learned behavior, we must remember that the primary agent of socialization will always be the family. So in terms of the responsibility, we cannot shift blame from the parent to the education system. What you can say,
that's theory and not reality.
we need more integration between
that is
home
theory and not reality.
between
That is not realistic. That is not where things are. We can find many things, clinical things, but it doesn't work because it's not reality.
Just so call hold on there a second.
It's gone in the household. So an indisciplined child in the household will rear herself or rear himself in the school environment and amplify that level of indiscipline. But that seed of indiscipline started within the home.
So what you say about that, caller? I mean the environment.
The father of the nation, the watchword of the country says discipline, tolerance, and production. The parents can do their part. We're in a time now where mothers who are single mothers have to go out and work. They have to put food on the table. This is the reality now. So the school is not just a place of learning or of academics. It's a place now of daycare, which part we depend on teachers to go beyond the call of duty now to help now to monitor your children. They don't have to discipline them, but you have to monitor them and bring you in. Where do you find the time to fix that? So that means while they're with you, they're doing what they have to do. I have seen children sit down comfortable with the books and doing everything, very polite. Thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. Good day, and everything. But the moment they are out of the sight of the children, because we cannot monitor them when we're not there, the children now follow the peer pressure.
But caller,
you name it?
Yeah, but do you agree that has only happened with some of the children? Because there are some children.
It happens everybody. But you see, in the school, if we have these things and we use the watchwords and the other thing, I solemnly pledge to XYZ so and so elders and teachers and so forth, and we emphasize this and the police is there afterwards to pick up where there are shortcomings in every space, and there must be consequences for that. Then we will have a disciplined society. But it doesn't happen that way. And we can talk about theories and different methods and different this and that and trial and that, but what is the reality and how do we go with fixing that? And we can argue all night. We can disagree and we can agree on many points. But it doesn't solve the problem. As we say, where does the process begin? How do we follow up on that? And what are the expectations at the end of a particular period? So the Californians say there's a missing generation, and if we don't find it, they'll surely find us, and they're finding us now. And they find us with crime, and they find us with many things. Because that missing generation, we didn't take care of that in the earlys. But we didn't listen. It was just a song, so we had listened to it. She was just singing because she knew her song and child. But today, it is happening to us. And we wonder now, how do we fix it and how long is it going to take? So we all have a responsibility. Nobody can shun that and say this and X, Y, and Z. We have to get up now and do our part in our own little way. And the rest of the society begins to follow and look at things from that perspective. So everybody has to contribute. And in that contribution of what we do now, we identify the problems, finding the source and who is the cause. As I say, Rowley was the cause and so Chung following and so on. So that doesn't solve anything. We identify the people who we have to move away from. But the issue here now is that who do we put now to now start that process, to channel us now in that direction, that the flow begins to function out differently. I can't do the same thing over and over all the time, but I will be mad.
No, well, I believe we could start with Kezel Jackson. I mean, I ain't saying that because I have been observing her for quite some time. But caller, thanks for calling.
Look, I respect her. You know, she makes good contributions. The problem with the contributions that she makes, she has her point of view, but she has to listen now to adjust now to add people's views now to now make it better. So when we identify a problem, we now offer a solution or many solutions and many ways as how we can do. But if we're not doing that, then you're living in a cocoon. We have to come out.
All
We
right.
do we have to.
All right,
All
Kola,
of us have a
thanks.
responsibility. I just call it program because you make some salient points. I can make a contribution. Others make contributions.
No, well,
If we listen carefully,
Mhm.
yeah, we can extract things and we can put this because I will tell you in my own home what I do and so forth. People will tell me, well, I ain't working. I don't say don't or you can't do this. I ask you, why do you want to do this? I give you that assurance to go ahead and do it. So you can always come to me for guidance. People may not like that. People say, don't, this and that, and try, no, is an answer, and try, that kind of thing. I'm a little more tolerant. Because now, when I tell you, you could come to me now, you don't have to go and steal now. You don't have to interfere without permission. You know, guided accordingly. There are many methods that we can look at. People will say, man, maybe not right. I foolish. I encourage nonsense. Maybe they're right.
Well,
I just have
Kola,
to
you know,
have
I just appreciate your call from time to time. It's not that I don't, you know. You just give some salient points just as well. So, as I say, you know, thanks to the call.
Yeah, but we got chat next day. Let me give a chat.
Yeah.
And I'm not against anybody.
No, we're not saying that. It's just that everybody had a point of. You say it correctly. You say it correctly.
It's a process of learning.
Mhm.
And how do we get there? How do we advance ourselves and our intellectual capacity to understand this is what it is and accept change? Change comes very difficult. We always resist change. But when it happens sometimes and it works for us, oh, we happy, we in ecstasy, man. We jumping up happy and gleeful. But we need to move along that line. Well, you'll have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for entertaining me.
Yes.
Of course. Anytime. That's what we're here for. We're here to provide an opportunity.
Ms. Kezel, I mean, you was going down a particular lines, and the reason why, you know, I didn't interrupt is because of this. It's something that I call availability heuristics. There are people who are exposed to certain information, which it does be valuable, and I believe it's the same thing that going on with the PNM and the UNC, because they are not seeing things from a ground level, because they are being reinforced on a daily basis by people who supports them. So they are not seeing a clear picture of reality. Yes, the country want change, the supporting change throughout Trinidad and Tobago. But at the end of the day, when you come into the community that I am in, and you hear how the people support, or not support, but lack of support of the candidate they put, now you have to say that, all right, what is true of the whole is not true of the part. Yes, at the end of the day, plenty of people might be supporting them on a nationalistic level. But when you come into the community like Library and environs, people saying, boy, we want somebody who we could relate to from a street man level. We want somebody who understands our cry. We want somebody who is there and is feeling it. So coming back to the nucleus of the problem is this. There are people that is exposed to information that is unique to them. And that is where, you know, availability heuristics is concerned. So, I mean, that is one of the reasons why I didn't interrupt. So, Kezel, I know you have your different point of view, and, you know, let me hear it from your perspective. I like argument, by the way. I like logical arguments. What's going on your side? Tell me.
Let Kezel go ahead now. A lot of people want to hear from Kezel.
I lost you there for a moment, Mr. Jeffrey. Can you repeat what was the question?
No. What I was saying is that, you know, from a perspective, you know, people have their different point of view, and the reason I didn't right.
Gentleman, right. But also sometimes too much information without the right channeling of that information can just be like, you know, you commit a barragement of assumptions, put it that way. So he had some salient points, but yet so you have to put his points into perspective. Because to say all children, you see, I don't make, we cannot make assumptions like that. It is erroneous. All children, all these children will do this, and all these children will behave that way. That is not true. It will never be all that, so we can't use that particular pronoun of totality, because that is an error. So yes, some children may behave differently at school, but if we really were to peer ourselves into the first agent of socialization, we can identify where the little tricks and the little lies and the little deviance starts within the home. And they probably think that if there is not sufficient communication between the home and the school, this is where the breakdown happens. When the communication between the home and the school isn't robust enough, then the children think that they can escape with certain behavioral patterns within the school system and get away. Give Miss trouble because mommy is not coming to give Miss that support system to say, yes, I am willing, I'm here to reinforce all what you said, and John or Jane must comply. So, in terms of some of his assumptions of totality, I cannot, within my rational self, agree with those statements. His ideas of execution in terms of where we go and how we grow and how we have short term, low hanging fruits and long term planning, that is all well and good. We need it. But to then to come to make the assumption, because I asked him to whom is he speaking? Is it a generalization or is it specifically to the platform? Because then I can understand and relate and probably give an answer if one was deserving. As to are we pinpointing problems and finger pointing without
Is it,
identifying the real
is that we have
solutions?
another caller. Good afternoon, caller. Good afternoon.
Yes, good night again, Miss Arima.
Good afternoon, my
And let's
dear.
make a little two calls and try to get
Yes.
the
Yes.
point across fast, right?
Thank you very much.
So we
Yeah.
want to talk about CARICOM and
Mhm.
a decision they would have to come to because they just talk with one voice.
Right.
But with this issue with the Cuban doctors,
Mhm.
each country had to give their view and what they have to say on it.
Mhm.
But today I understand that today they gather and they had this meeting with what decision they would come to as a body. I don't know what come out of it. I don't know if anybody hear anything about that, if you're paying attention and hear anything about this gathering that they had.
No, well, I
Hello?
personally didn't today we was a little
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Today
So
we was.
there are some countries like Antigua, St. Lucia, I think it's St. Kitts as well. Some countries that may be under possible sanctions by the US government. So, CARICOM as a whole, a decision had to be made as to what is the position of CARICOM, what is the position of the Caribbean leaders as it relates to their stance in the geopolitical war that is happening between America predominantly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. No,
So
those
yeah,
countries that you mentioned, they ain't get sanctioned as yet.
no,
I
not yet.
understand it have three lists:
They're under
red
the
list, yellow list, orange list. So
they
those countries that they're looking at, like St. Kitts,
yes.
they have to get the act together with certain things that these countries doing, which is where they're selling their passports, they're selling citizenships to
Mhm.
certain individuals from different parts of the world, where they would go there and get citizenship, and then they would move on to the United States when
Mhm.
they get the passports, let's say from Antigua and Barbuda. So these countries have 60 days to get that act together. But apart from that, I'm talking about the Cuban doctors now. So when these people come together and they decide, look, without our permission, without the citizens' permission, when they come together now, as they always do, because the gangman in Venezuela is who controlling them, all of them are puppets because they need his gas, his oil, right? So they will come together, say, look, we keeping these Cuban doctors in our country because they're more studying how they end the brotherhood, the revolution with Cuba and Venezuela, they looking that way, right? So when they make that decision, we quiet here, don't know, right? When you do look sharp, it's sanctions for us. We could end up like Cuba, years in embargo. We could end up with years of sanctions. And there is where the country going to turn into turmoil. I listened to a piece of history with Jamaica with Michael Manley, where the US government told the Jamaican government then to stay away from Cuba, break relation, and he decided no. And when he did that, the United States stopped all aid, etc., from the Jamaicans, and it wasn't good at all. Things end up really bad for the Jamaicans. And this is why the Jamaican Prime Minister, not, he never come to a decision up to this day to answer on whether or not he would have the Cuban doctors in his country. So this is something very serious right now. If they decide they're going to have the Cuban doctors, that's it for all these countries in CARICOM. Because I look at the geopolitics a lot. So we as citizens of this country, we supposed to stand up to that. And this is why I talking on this. We supposed to stand up. We can't sit down and
Correct.
just make Amory Brown and they make these decisions for us. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you,
said.
caller. And Kezel should I make a
Love, Arima. I would love to speak with you further. You are quite right about every statement that you would have just made. In terms of what is happening, she's hitting all the right points. My WhatsApp number is 689-3282. That number again, 689-3282. I will welcome more conversations with you in the very near future. She highlighted several issues that we must be all cognizant of because we are well positioned in a geopolitical war that many of the citizens, they don't know their head from their toe. So we have to use programs like yours to enlighten the general citizenry as to what is taking place within Trinidad and Tobago regionally and internationally. So the points that she raised with Jamaica is quite true. In terms of Jamaica's position at present, Petrojam, to which we made a deal to buy refined fuel. Petrojam was formerly Petro Caribe, and they were being supplied fuel by Venezuela. The main owner, the other shareholder, one was the government, the other was a giant, oligarchy giant that financed Maduro out of Venezuela. With all these sanctions being laid against Venezuela, they decided that Jamaica will take 100% ownership. But really, is it just in paper or is it ownership in its truest sense? Questions that we do well to ask ourselves, because Jamaica is not an oil producing nation. Again, the position of countries like Antigua and Barbuda, who have citizenship by investment, the challenges of selling passports, in other words, because of investment being made by businessmen, some of these businessmen under watch by America for sometimes acts of terrorism. Is a lot to take note of. As it relates to the Cuban medics, the Caribbean stand as to what is their position. Will they continue to support the communist country of Cuba? Will they continue to support communist practices and finance the communist regime? So it is questions that they also have to answer. But they cannot answer those questions in isolation of their population. So I'm in total agreement with the call of Arima. Well said, my dear.
wow. I know that call. I would have click with you in a Kezel because she does be calling this program a lot, and a lot of people just chastise she on other programs. But at the end of the day, as I just say, there are people that has been vital information. And even if you don't understand it, just say so. Plenty of them don't understand it.
Plenty of them like to talk without researching. They just want to open their mouth to respond without researching. But I welcome that conversation with her. And she was hitting all the right points. Again, caller from Arima, I would welcome a further conversation with you. Gentlemen, I am tired. I am hungry. You know, every morning, up, get up. All I had was those two biscuit bread, and that was tired eat. If you would permit me to remove myself now, to have something to eat, to have some dinner, and to
Yeah.
refill myself for another day again.
Yes,
I appreciate it.
yes.
I totally enjoy this program. I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy all the contributions as well. Because you know what? Iron sharpens iron. And the more we begin to listen, is the more we can expand our thought process and in terms of our policies as well, so that it can become more inclusive rather than having a myopic unilateral approach that we continue to do what the others are doing. That is leaving out the common people, leaving out the opinions, the perspective of others. So as leaders, we must be able to listen. But for other callers, especially that gentleman who called, he had some good contributions. But sometimes you have to listen more than you talk, sir. And although your contributions were good contributions, you just have to put things in perspective, because he had some really good points, but put your points into perspective and then you speak on it. Yeah, have a good evening, and I thank you again.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ms. Jackson.
Thank you very much.
And enjoy, can I invite me for something? But she
Kezel,
gone.
Kezel, before you leave, could you give us your phone number again, please?
She gone, take her.
She gone?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So people of Trinidad and Tobago, I mean, yes, we have a lot of things lined up here for you on this program, in which, at the end of the day, or you don't know that we're battling here already.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that we are coming with in the future. We're going to have a lawyer on the program Monday,
Yes.
in which we are going to answer some of the questions for you. Someone that is from the Superior area, that is coming with venom, with steam, and with enthusiasm, not to kill or to steal or to destroy, but to bring perspective and views to you and to provide a service, a matter of fact, that you ain't getting no way under no regime.
At an unbeatable price.
Yes, we ain't advertising for him, but we telling you that, you know, you can get your services.
At an unbeatable price.
So kindly, you know, we didn't plan to do the show tonight, but go ahead.
Again, my name is Sheldon Khan. This is the Workers' Right Channel. And we, myself and Renison, being the two representatives for the area, being your brothers in arms, will always, to the best of our ability, endeavor to bring the benefits to you, to our community, as much as we can. Again, on Monday, we will be having an attorney at law on the program, and he's going to be offering his services that at a price that any single person can afford. Every single person. He's going to make it affordable. Because the All People's Party will be funding the other half, or the brunt of his legal services. So we are going to bring legal services to you, for you, at a subsidized price. Forget the rest. We are committed to fighting and improving your lives.
Well, people, as they say, that nothing could have been said more better than that. So, the many of you that would have joined us here, yes, Mr. DJ Smooth, I know you're dons. You're a dons fella. I seen that. So, you don't have to come on the chat and say so. Yeah, son, don't air your dirty laundry out here in public. I know, right about now, you need a hot cokes. Any kind of nonsense this man talking that he dons. Well, go on, so it is stupid on the chat. We come in here and I'm gonna tell you something. You see, that's why we need to take this thing very seriously. Representation is that serious. You could lose your life. You see, 640 people lost their life last year. That is how serious representation is. So it's not about why you don't get carried away with stupid talk. When a man putting stupid talk in the comment and letting you know certain things, oh, this man and have an opinion, an uneducated opinion, because it's not me that causing you to wake up in the morning and you hear your neighbor dead, he get gunned down. Or the two lady, the lady that would have died in the Shogunas area, where a man come in and slice the human throat. It's not me. It's this dunce government that would have done that. That is who dunce. If you know. So at the end of the day, we closing off the program here tonight. And we ain't closing off with representation and that always open 24/7. So let me hear Khan before we really end the program here tonight.
Yeah, so as I said, look forward to our show on Monday. We will be having an attorney at law on the program. He's going to be offering his services at an unbeatable price. The reason he is able to do that is because the All People's Party, which is headed by Kezel Jackson, she will be bearing the brunt of the cost. So you will, the attorney that we're going to be having on the show on Monday, he is going to be offering his legal services at a subsidized price that everyone can be able to afford. Again, in our efforts to better our community and our country, we endeavor and strive to help out our brothers and sisters at every and any possible way. So, until we meet again, folks, thank you and do have yourself a most wonderful and restful night. God bless.
Well, thank you, citizens. Thank you.